Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of August 16, 2021. We are in for a really intense, extremely surprising, very passionate, very heated, and also quite revelatory week where things, especially from an individual personal perspective, can turn around very quickly. This is one of those rare weeks, if I may call it like that, when the predominant celestial conversations taking place in the sky are actually not squares. These are not aspects of maximum tension, but quite the opposite. This is one of the weeks where we have a lot of trines, so energies of blessings in the sky. And even the signature conversation of this year 2021, and I'm talking about the Saturn and Uranus square, it is not going to be as intense because Saturn is already at 8 degrees of the sign of Aquarius and Uranus is at 14 of Taurus. And this is the degree where it's going to stay all throughout the week, because also this is that week where Uranus stands still in the sky and prepares to go retrograde the week after. This also means that it is actually Uranus who's going to be the most relevant power player in the sky, and not just for the fact that it is standing still, it is stationary, and whenever a planet does this, its symbolism is greatly amplified. But also because at the very end of the week on Sunday, the 22nd of August, we have this very rare and erratic full moon taking place in the sign of Aquarius, a part of the sky which Uranus rules, so that also adds a great deal to its symbolism. But I'm going to be speaking about this full moon in greater detail towards the end of the horoscope, and I'll also probably dedicate a recording just to take a look at this celestial event, because this is quite rare given the fact that it's the second full moon that takes place in Aquarius, one after another. As a little reminder, we had another full moon on the 24th of July at 1 degree 26 minutes of Aquarius, and now we're going to have another one at 29 degrees of the same sign, and this is kind of rare. So it means that the symbolism of this sign is very important, both individually and collectively alike, of course. Now, even though, as I said earlier, this is one of those weeks where the energies speak of blessings, they speak of breakthroughs, they speak of perhaps moments of success, moments of triumph. This can also be like a fated karmic energy where that which we need very urgently in our lives may simply show up as a surprise with great ease, almost out of nowhere. Yet, even though this may feel like a blessing, ever since the beginning of the year, we were extremely challenged, and we really had to fight our battles in order for us to get here exactly where we are in the present moment, regardless from which perspective. And also, chances are that our most urgent need or our most pressing problems, perhaps our biggest limitations, regardless of how much effort, energy, brainstorming, or whatever we placed into this, we might not have been able to achieve that which we needed the most. So perhaps this is going to be such a week, this might be such a moment when that breakthrough comes to us, either in a fated way, or perhaps this is where the universe is extraordinarily permissive. It just says, well, you worked for it, you suffered for it, you did everything that you could, so let me ease your burden, let me give you what you need, what you asked for. Or at least this is the way I see this energy playing out. Even though it's a little bit perhaps optimistic, idealistic, Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius has to do this. It needs to basically weave the energy of hope and belief into our mental sphere as well, Aquarius. And speaking about Jupiter, well, Jupiter is also going to be a very relevant planet, not just this week, but even in the weeks to follow. Now, on the world stage, collectively speaking, well, yes, there is this blessing in the sky, that's no problem at all, but perhaps things on the world stage won't feel as miraculous, they won't feel as optimistic, quite the contrary, because this extremely intense and passionate Leo energy that is going to predominate everything in our lives next week may also have a not so favorable expression when it comes to the collective. It is extremely assertive, and Uranus is the planet of rebellion. Uranus is the revolutionary, and because its symbolism is greatly amplified, that means that spirits are going to run high, and there will be a very heated battle, regardless from which perspective we look at this, for equality, for equity, for justice, and perhaps the keyword here is freedom. And if we add to this, whenever Uranus is standing still in the sky, whenever its symbolism is amplified, it also coincides with revelation, the truth coming out, secrets being exposed, light being shed on the skeletons in the closet. So if we look at this from a collective perspective, well, you can imagine that sparks are going to fly everywhere. At the same time, Dark Moon Lilith in the sign of Gemini, the communicator, news, social media, even official communication, whatever is being shared, whatever is being said, whatever is being presented to us, well, there will be controversy, there will be verbal battles. Also, Mercury in the sign of Virgo is going to hold its conjunction, its meeting with Mars. Mercury, and the sign of Virgo is all about facts, it is all about figures, it is all about numbers, it is like really down-to-earth energy. It is an extremely logical, rational, scientific even expression of energy. Mercury is exalted in this part of the sky, so whatever is going to be communicated is going to be very, very important. And Mars is the planet of action, it is also god of war basically. So there is going to be verbal battles, there is going to be even scientific battles, where the opposing sides, regardless if it's centralized power and people, or if it's professionals, experts, teachers, or the most relevant figures in an industry, in a branch of science, in whatever has to do with, serving others. Because, every industry, everything basically in our human sphere exists to serve the greater good, or at least that is the principle. One might argue that this might fall into the symbolism of Capricorn. Well, Capricorn is the modus operandi, it is the structure, the hierarchy, that which keeps it under control. But it is Virgo which is the knowledge. It is Virgo which symbolizes the research and ultimately the usefulness, how it serves humankind and everything that has to do with it. So that's why I personally believe that there are going to be a lot of contradictions, there are going to be a lot of battles, symbolically speaking, where scientists or professionals or, whoever has to make a very important choice regarding the implementation of solutions to our most urgent problems. Well, those people, those opposing sides will actually fight fire with fire, figures, facts, research with other figures, numbers, facts. And who will win? Well, that is under a shroud of mystery. And perhaps that is the surprise Uranus is preparing for all of us. Because also next week, Uranus is going to hold a conversation of supreme harmony, a trine, with its lower octave, Mercury. And both of these planets are cerebral energies, they are mental, they are rational. Uranus is our highest thinking, Mercury is our practical thinking. And whenever these two planets are in supreme harmony with each other, well, that always means that there is going to be a moment of breakthrough. Either a bright idea is being born, or a eureka moment, a massive epiphany, a truth being revealed, but in such a way where we can actually work with it, Mercury. And if we take into consideration that at the same time Mars will also hold the same celestial conversation with Uranus, well, these two energies are extremely quick. These two energies are like a lightning bolt moment. These two always provide some kind of shock, some kind of surprise, some kind of turnaround of events. So this is definitely the alchemical formula for a massive turnaround events, including on the world stage. Now, there is so much happening in the sky next week that I might not be able to cover all of its aspects, all of its side in one single recording. So whatever I might miss out or whatever I might not emphasize upon, I'll resume in the recording I'm going to make for this upcoming full moon in Aquarius. So at the very beginning of the week, as I said, Uranus stands still in the sky. So that already symbolizes that the energy is building up. The tension is growing. Things, regardless of what they may mean individually and collectively alike, are getting serious. Also at the same time, Mercury and Mars in the sign of Virgo are going to hold a quincunx, a minor astrological conversation with Saturn. And this in itself might be a very surprising energy as well, because to me this is delayed gratification. Something that we have done perhaps in the recent past, and this might also be like a continuous action, maybe something that we initiated at the very beginning of the year, because that was the moment when Saturn entered into the sign of Aquarius. Actually, it was December last year, to be very, very precise. And whatever we did, whatever we started, whatever we initiated, might not have produced very clear, very palpable fruits of our labor. And I say, regardless in which sense we take this, well, whatever seeds of intention we might have planted at that moment, it might be now when we harvest the fruits of that labor, whatever that may be. It can be, for example, a project. It could be like a legal issue. It could have something to do with work, with career. It could also be a communication, something that we spoke, something that we have said. It could also be like an official matter which we requested or initiated in any way. And it might be this time when we get a reply, when we get an answer, when we get a result of any kind, which may actually surprise us. In which sense, well, that remains to be seen. Now also at the same time, there is another quincunx playing out in the sky, where Neptune and Pluto are holding a quincunx with the Sun from its home sign of Leo. Now this quincunx is even more special because that Neptune and Pluto hold a sextile with each other, and this celestial conversation is what astrologers call the finger of God, where the triangle points at the Sun in Leo, and this might be a totally mysterious, synchronistic, fated energy where we might be in a very unexpected manner at the right place, at the right time for something very important to happen to us personally, the Sun in Leo. Something that will definitely influence our heart, so our feelings, our passions. It might source from the past because Neptune and Pluto are retrograde, but it might be something that we fantasize about, we dream about, we, one way or another, maybe even without intention, we alchemize within ourselves, or maybe we ask the universe, but as I say, not intentionally. Maybe we just daydreamed, maybe we just challenged the universe. And it is now when the divine surprisingly delivers that to us in its, usual, mysterious, unperceivable ways. And the best thing about this is that maybe just in the recent past we might have joked about something, like what are the chances that this and that would happen to me? And me is a key word here because the Sun in Leo, identity, ego. Or perhaps someone else might have made a joke like, what would you do if this and that happened to you? And maybe you laughed it off. This might be a moment when it's actually the universe asking you personally, what would you do? And when the universe is asking, well, the situation is already created, you're already in it, and you just have to spontaneously decide what to do. So at the very beginning of the week on Monday, Venus leaves the sign of Virgo and she enters her home sign of Libra. Now this is always a truly beautiful, it is a romantic, it is a dreamy, it is a very light-hearted energy because Venus in Libra is considered as the celestial Aphrodite. The sign of Libra is Venus's daytime expression where she can be as romantic, as dreamy, as diplomatic, as beautiful as she likes. Because when Venus is in this part of the sky, beauty is in the mind. Beauty is in our thoughts. Beauty is in our words. And the mental sphere is perhaps the most unlimited, the most boundless part of our being because we are always able to think what we want. There is no limitation, there is no borders, there is no boundaries to what we are allowed to think. In the mind, literally everything is possible. And when you add to that Venus love, beauty, value, worth, idealism, unconditional love, well, this is always a truly, truly beautiful and even magical energy. This always blesses relationships. This energy kind of guides us to project our very best selves upon other people. This is also platonic and idealistic in the sense that we are inclined to see in another person that which also makes us beautiful, that which also makes us valuable, worthy. We find it that much easy to treat others, see others as equals. The sign of Libra, the scales of justice. This is when, the symbolism of Libra, justice, equality, equity, morality, is actually an energy which we embody. Venus in this part of the sky is always a really inspirational power for diplomats, for speakers, for those who work in the field of justice, lawyers, judges, etc., for public speakers, for writers, for artists of all kinds, for those who work in beautification, makeup, style, fashion, etc. Even when Venus is extremely comfortable and able to bring out her very, very, very best qualities, there is also a certain downside. In the sign of Libra, we may find it impossible to make a choice, a decision, not because of the bad things, but perhaps because of the good things. Which one is more ideal? What is more beautiful? What is more loving? What is more inspirational? So this is always the good kind of confusion. Now the next day, on the 17th, we have a grand fire trine in the sky. The Sun is trined by Eris and the galactic center. Now, individually, without a doubt, this is a blessing. This can be courage, this can be bravery, this can be self-confidence. This can be one of those rare moments in life when, your inner sun just bursts. It is like an inner solar flare, almost like an inner solar storm, where you shower everyone or everything with your passion, with your courage, with your inspirational power, with the beauty, the lightheartedness of the inner child. Of course, this is the most positive expression of this energy. And this is one of those delicate trines where it shouldn't have a negative expression, because a trine is always a blessing, right? Yet still, whenever we have fire trines, if we overdo it, it might lead to an excessive passion, and people around us might not really perceive it as we do. So this may come through as arrogance, as overconfidence, as selfishness, etc. Now, on the world stage, I know that this is a blessing, but this really spells, especially with Eris being so powerful and also squaring Pluto, this spells conflict, rebellion, people taking to the streets, demanding their rights, not having any fear in their hearts, courage. So basically the drama on the world stage, people versus centralized power, will again reach a peak moment. And if we just add to this that Uranus is standing still in the sky, the planet of rebellion, just like Aries, well, this is gonna be very, very heated and potentially quite violent. When fearlessness is not just courage, but it is being totally blind to morals, being totally blind to rationality and logic, that never has a good ending. But it is what it is. This is gonna feel like a blessing for freedom fighters, for example. Now to move on, around the 19th of August, Mercury and Mars are going to meet in the sky at 13 degrees of the sign of Virgo. And both of these planets, when they meet, are going to be trined by Uranus at 14 degrees of the sign of Taurus. And to make it even better, this will also be a grand Earth trine, because the moon will also trine these planets from the sign of Capricorn. Now, this multifaceted celestial conversation might actually be a true blessing and might feel like a true blessing from every possible sense and perspective, individually and collectively alike. Because, Mars, planet of action, with Mercury exalted in the sign of Virgo, infused by the most positive qualities of Uranus, a very powerful Uranus, which is humanitarianism, equality, truth. So this kind of speaks about solutions appearing to many problems that we individually and collectively face in the present moment. This is also the energy of science, when science or scientific advancements, scientific discoveries do produce miraculous effects, do offer us quick, easy, and very, very practical solutions. This is where the brainstorming actually produces something truly helpful, useful, and not just for a few people, the lucky few, but for everyone equally. This can be like financial solutions to the economic part of the crisis. This can, Virgo is all about healthcare, biology, the knowledge of the human body and everything in it. It is also the power of plant medicine, so basically the wisdom and blessing within nature. So for example, this can be a surprising and maybe unexpected breakthrough in medical science, where instead of a vaccine, they might figure out a proper treatment for the COVID, perhaps one which is natural. This might also be a really good energy for the job crisis part of what we're going through. And naturally, technology and the internet, Uranus, can be a great help in all of this. Whatever happens at that time may actually soothe the fears, the worries of people, the moon in Capricorn, where people might fear for their structure, for their independence, for their material stability. And the same goes individually as well. This is a really good energy for some people looking for jobs, some who want to change their careers, students, and everyone who is learning something. Those people working on projects, those who have businesses, this might create a big influx of clients, of business, of transactions. So this is a really favorable energy in very, very many senses. And also Grand Earth Trine. This is down to earth, this is real, this is practical. Now at the same time, Venus, already in her home sign of Libra, holds a trine, a supremely harmonious conversation with dark moon Lilith in the sign of Gemini. So what this means is speaking, expressing, writing, communicating about your desires, Lilith, or your needs, or anything that you might want to have in your life, regardless of its nature, because basically Gemini is communication, speaking it, writing it, expressing it. Venus in the sign of Libra is a potential partner out there who can offer that to you. So what you seek, if you speak it out, might find you. Also, this can have a totally different expression. Lilith in the sign of Gemini is flirting. It is words, the beauty, the attraction of words, fantasy, playfulness, in a very sexual manner, if this makes sense. So, what you write, what you communicate, however you express your fantasies, whoever you flirt with, well, there is a chance to get what you ask for. Or simply translated, the right words at this time can be very, very sexy. Or someone's mind, someone's way of thinking can be almost irresistibly attractive. But everyone who has very strong Gemini energy or very strong air signs in their charts has to be careful, because this attracts. So if you're just joking or fooling around, make sure to also express that, because it can give people a wrong kind of impression where they might think that you actually mean it or you're ready to commit. So, just take this into consideration. Now around the 20th, we have the Sun opposing Jupiter. And this is a very intense celestial conversation. Well, first of all, the Sun is in its home sign. It's all about the heart, it's passion. It is the self, it is even ego, creativity, self-expression, the inner child, passionate love, the thirst for life, where Jupiter in the opposing sign, Aquarius, it is all about the mind, our hopes and dreams, our ideals, our higher thinking. And these two symbols are facing one another. They are standing across the sky from each other, so their symbolism has to balance out. But Jupiter, whatever it touches, it expands, it amplifies, it magnifies. So this energy is basically what we make of it. It is without a doubt hopeful, dreamy, optimistic, but we can get to such highs where it is beyond the fantasy. Even we know in our heart of hearts that what we are thinking about, what we are planning, what we are willing to risk is almost self-defeating, because it is so very not possible. But we might be so taken away by the magic of the moment, by Jupiter's expanded promises, if this makes sense, that we will be like moths to the flame. So we need a lot of self-discipline to turn this energy into really healthy optimism, into truly favorable Jovian expression, because this can also represent, for example, the promises that we make. We might feel the love and passion in our hearts, We might feel that we're capable of everything and anything, and if we promise something based on this feeling, well, that can change so very quickly as the sun leaves Leo, and we might see things from a totally different way. So be very careful what you promise, and at the same time, this is vice versa. Be careful of the promises you believe, because other people will feel like this as well. Jupiter is generosity, good intention. In the sign of Aquarius, your friends, other people in your life which, represent your social circle, those who you share information with, etc. And at this time, they might be a little bit blinded by their ideals, so they might make you promises, I'll help you, I'll give you, I'll do this and that. And it's not that you shouldn't believe this, but just take it with a pinch of salt. Know that as the sun will leave Leo, they might, have a reality check and wake up to the fact that they're not actually able to. Now, another unfavorable expression of this energy is, selfishness, aggression, passions turning into obsessions. Jupiter just amplifies everything it touches, it doesn't care. And also, Jupiter is the planet of inner truth, subjective truth. It will allow you to believe what you want to believe. So the best way to make sure that this energy doesn't become harmful is to always align the heart with the head. When this opposition takes place, don't favor any. Don't allow your passions and feelings and not even the truth within your heart to make decisions for you, neither your sense of logic, because Jupiter in Aquarius can also be a very hair-splitting kind of attitude. And if we add to this the Virgo planet, well, that is extremely analytical, so just stay balanced. If you're not sure of something, delay the decision, the choice, or what you want to speak, what you want to express. If you're very overwhelmed by feelings or thoughts, just take time out and don't focus on it. Don't allow this to convince you in either sense. Also at this moment, this is when the trine between Mercury and Uranus becomes exact. Again, these two planets are each other's octaves. Uranus the higher octave, Mercury the lower octave. This is mental energy, cerebral energy, logical energy. This can be a powerful breakthrough or a very favorable communication, good news, solutions coming in, breakthroughs, your plans and ideas that you already, one way or another, executed, initiated, can produce results. So this is really, really good. Also, if you're looking for a professional, any kind of help out there, this might be a moment when the kind of help that you need, a professional, a company, anything that offers a service just comes to you with great ease. You are at the right place at the right time. Or you just look at an advert in the newspaper, on the internet, and it's exactly what you asked for, exactly what you needed, and you make a phone call, and there it is. It's already happening. This can also be positive criticism, constructive criticism, when someone gives you the very, very best advice possible. This can be good news of any kinds. This can also represent offers, when someone just offers you a chance, an opportunity, may it be business or anything, which catapults you into a much better position that you are in the present moment. And let's not forget, Mars is also part of this celestial conversation, so take action. If you have a bright idea, if you have an epiphany, a brainstorming, a eureka moment, or if you feel that someone's advice resonates with you so very strongly, take action, and you don't know where this might be leading you. It might actually make so many things come together for you in even an unexpected manner. Even if it's not what you thought, it might still lead you to a much, much better place, person, etc. Also at this time, Venus holds a supremely harmonious conversation with Ceres, goddess of grain, goddess of nurture. Ceres at this time being in the sign of Gemini. So this means food for thought. This means inspirational words. This means that communication, the words of someone, a speech, a very, very strong motivational energy that just elevates your spirit, your mood. This can also mean a love declaration, perhaps not in a romantic way. Maybe people just express their gratitude, they give you honors, they simply feed your sense of self-worth in the most harmonious and positive. You're showered with love, for example, and love is expressed verbally. Positive feedback, a review, especially if you're in that kind of work. Or maybe you share something, a poetry, a writing, an experience, music, song, whatever, and people just appreciate it and they love it. This aspect is so good for everyone who works with the public. So I strongly advise everyone who can share anything to do it, to take action, because these multitudes of trines, so Mercury trining Uranus, Venus trining Ceres, Mars trining Uranus, the Sun in Leo opposing Jupiter, even though it's a hard aspect in opposition, but Jupiter is luck. It is a lucky energy after all. So if you have anything to share, art, a picture, a poem, or simply speaking about your needs, your desires, your dreams, self-expression, who it is that you are, anything like that, it can lead to the most surprising, blessed, favorable outcomes. And also, let's say if you're a creative person, if you kind of write, this is just an example, write poetry or know how to draw, know how to paint, but usually you're very, very shy because, well, you might be thinking, there's so many other talented people out there, who would actually give attention to my amateur kind of work? Now, at this time, going against this and just having the guts, the courage, and the belief in yourself, Jupiter opposing Sun, to share it, to express it, to expose yourself. Even if it's just for one moment, get out of your shy corner and have the courage to express whatever it is that you are or feel, etc. It can truly lead to a big blessing. Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Taurus, how your life, how your self-worth, how your value system always used to be all throughout your life. Uranus, a powerful earthquake. It is chaos. It might change profoundly, radically in a single moment. That's all that Uranus needs. One single moment and your life is unrecognizable. And of course, most of the time this Uranus in Taurus is highly uncomfortable, irritating, challenging, weird, awkward, misfortune, misunderstandings. It kind of always highlights the flaws and imperfections in our value system, regardless how we look at it. Let's say physical body, physical imperfection, beauty, self-worth, our value as a professional, anything that might have to do with Taurus. So usually it just highlights the flaws, what we're not so good at, the mistakes that we're making. But it is kind of rare when it is so very positively powerful and chaotic, creative chaos, for example. So we should really take this opportunity when it can do good for us, when it can shock us, unsettle us, demolish our whole lives for the most positive change, for us to truly be our most authentic selves, and ultimately, Taurus, to live the life that we know we deserve, that we know suits us like a glove, to be ourselves truly, not just in philosophy, spiritually, psychologically, but also to be able to live this in a down-to-earth real sense with our five senses, Taurus again. So if there was ever a time to have courage and faith in yourself, that time is gonna be next week. Especially if you have something to offer the world, if you have something to say, if you have something to express, if you're making music. Again, the sign of Taurus, the voice, everything with the harmony of the voice and sound. Now, regarding the world stage and the collective energies, this might be as harmonious as it can be, but for a freedom fighter, for someone who is extremely angry and dissatisfied and full of frustration, this kind of blessing means that they will have the courage to do anything. So that's why, on a 3D level, this is gonna be as aggressive, as chaotic, as full of rage and violence as it could possibly get. So what I'm saying is, if you're not destined to be part of the rebellion, revolution, whatever, then this is also a moment when you truly need to stay detached and live your own story to the fullest, because that is the main, way that you open your doors to the blessing to come into your life. Now, at the very, very end of the week on Sunday, on the 22nd, we have that really rare and very intense full moon in Aquarius that I've spoke about at the beginning of this recording. Now, I already said this is the second full moon in the same sign, which is very rare. It is taking place at anaretic degree of the sign, 29 degrees, which means that the symbolism of any planet is greatly amplified, and usually is the shadow side of that energy, but it always means an urgency, it's critical, it needs to happen. And full moons are culminations, they are fated endings, fated completions, perhaps even harvest, because that is also completion, the manifestation of something, the ending of something. And this full moon, well, it's sudden, it's eruptive, it's governed by a stationary Uranus. It is also future-oriented in the sense that whatever happens, if it's an ending, it is ending because it needs to free space for your future. It needs to catapult you to be able to work for your future hopes and dreams. If it's a completion, whatever you need for your future is gonna appear in your life, because this is the moment of breakthrough. If certain people have to disappear from your life, even if it's a marriage, even if it's a friendship, even if it's your best friend, your soulmate, even if it's your local community, well, that separation is for your greatest good, regardless of how it will feel like. But it can also be a fated union, when the person who specifically, almost from a quantum perspective, you need in your life will just show up and appear. Also, the moon is conjunct Jupiter. So Jupiter adds an even stronger sense of urgency to it, and even from a fated karmic perspective. So whatever happens is very, very closely correlated to your soul, the moon, your soul's truth, your soul's divine truth, Jupiter. It can be miraculous, it can be extremely fortunate and lucky, but the sun is at 29 degrees of Leo, that is critical sun, that is burning, that is almost like raging, so that already means that whatever needs to happen, even if it's a big karmic energy, or even if it's just something that you initiated in the spring or even at the very beginning of the year, which has to basically show itself what became of it. May it be like a project or a relationship or, something that you invested into. All of this comes with a sense of urgency. And even if you might not really feel it as lucky, maybe you will feel it the opposite way, like a big misfortune or You cannot imagine that things turn out in such a unideal way, if this makes sense, where the termination or the ending is imminent and there is no going back. You know, that which is apparently misfortunate might be the best thing that ever happened in your life, because you don't know the future. Maybe in a few weeks, even days, looking back at what happened, you will see the true good luck in it. So regardless of how this full moon plays out, don't make quick judgments. Wait until it actually sinks in and events like fall into place. But either way, feelings are gonna be hyper. They are gonna be extremely intense, especially with Jupiter in the picture. But this also suggests that for many people, there is absolutely no reason why it shouldn't be fortunate. It shouldn't feel like something wonderful happened to you. Or those amplified emotions like Jupiter gratitude. So much gratitude that your heart just bursts. Anoretic Sun in Leo. So I am absolutely certain that for some people, whatever happens around this time is truly gonna feel not just miraculous, but almost as if the divine, the universe itself, loves you passionately. And for those who it might feel like a big pain or an unexpected ending or whatever that might, evoke tears, or like a big emotional shock, something unexpected and sudden, which you could never be prepared for. Again, I say, don't judge. Just wait a few days or maybe a few weeks, because where that will lead you is definitely gonna evoke gratitude and a sense of that it was actually a blessing, it was divine intervention. Also, at the time of the full moon, Mars is going to be in a tight trine with Uranus. So, whatever the full moon manifests, chances are it will need you to take a certain action, a choice, or whatever. And that action can be like your key to success, your key to whatever you need to have or do or whatever in your life. And also at the same time, Venus is going to hold a trine with Saturn. And that can play out in so very many positive ways. Saturn can be a massive karmic reward. It can mean gratitude, deep appreciation, Venus love, present, generosity, kindness, karma, especially the best kind of karma where you worked for something, sacrificed, helped someone unconditionally, sacrificed a part of your time, Saturn, your energy for someone or charitable purposes, Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius. A big positive karmic manifestation can simply flood your life. Or someone who is very, very strong in a certain perspective or in a certain, at something perhaps stronger than you, more experienced than you, older, richer, they have some kind of power, Saturn. They might simply help you out with something big, and usually unconditionally. And another celestial conversation, which happens exactly at the time of the full moon. The Sun is going to hold a supremely harmonious aspect, a trine, with planetoid Sedna, which suggests to me personally that something that you believed in strongly, something that you have sacrificed for, something that you might have been divinely guided and inspired to do, the symbolism of Sedna, is now going to turn into a big blessing in your life. Perhaps whatever happened was very, very painful for you at one point, or it made you feel like totally worthless. And that turns around now. Now, needless to say that on the world stage, this is totally different. This is revolution, this is rebellion, this is like very, very strong action of the people against centralized power. This is also the not so favorable side of technology. Maybe a big technological advancement breakthrough does happen, but it is so groundbreaking, it is so futuristic, it is so mind-blowing even, that we might not even know what to think of it. This is also kind of energy where something sci-fi, something which should be just fantasy, turns out to be very, very real and already applied. And with every, full moon, a secret, something hidden from our side being revealed, and with Uranus as a shock, as a surprise, in a very unexpected way. So, this is definitely gonna be something which will shake our emotional world, especially from a collective perspective, to the core. This can be a political earthquake, this can be a social earthquake, this can be a big social eruption. Something at that time, maybe a truth or a secret being revealed, is definitely going to change our sense of normality there and then, and there is no going back. And because it's so very rebellious, be careful, because this can also represent really strong disruption, natural calamity, earthquake, even things which are not physically disruptive, like energy cut out, power cut out, internet cut out, a cyber attack, a cybernetic attack on banks, banking systems, money. Or, there is a chance where something truly positive, Venus in Libra and her harmonious conversations, a positive and favorable change of legislation is perceived as discriminatory, and it will do more bad than good. Now, needless to say that with energetic Sun in Leo, with this very strong Uranus, and with Jupiter conjunct the Moon, this can also represent truly unusual weather phenomenon, where perhaps the forest fires and heat waves that we've seen until this moment were just the tip of the iceberg, or something truly unusual and very, very destructive, even like an accident or an explosion happens. But, this is not really avoidable, so there is nothing we can do against this. So my advice is to focus on the individual expression of this full moon. Where is that 29 degrees of Aquarius in your personal chart? Because I do believe that individually it is more likely to be a big blessing, to be like a miraculous energy that leaves a sense of deep, deep gratitude rather than something bad. So this concludes this horoscope. If you'd like to know more about this upcoming full moon in Aquarius and a much more detailed look on certain important aspects, just be on the lookout for the next recording. With this being said, thank you so much for listening, and wish everyone a blessed and quite miraculous and dream-fulfilling week. Until next time, bye for now.